It looks like Israel may end up holding new elections if no deal is reached over the so-called Haredi draft bill. The Israel Beitenu party leader Avigdor Lieberman is demanding the passage of the bill, which would pass economic sanctions against ultra-Orthodox men who refuse to join the army and require a specific number of ultra-Orthodox men to draft every year, no matter what. But ultra-Orthodox parties in the coalition mix are firmly against the legislation. Joining us now to discuss the implications is Dr. Martin Sherman, the founder and executive director of the IISS. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right, Dr. Sherman, so it doesn't look like anything is moving forward in terms of these negotiations over the so-called Haredi bill. And you know, there's a hard question that many are now asking. Is it time for Israel to stop its obligatory military service and instead have a professional army where those who would serve would be paid and make a career out of being in the military?
Well, I'm very much against that. You know, there's a wise dictum that says, if it works, don't fix it. And for all the blemishes and defects in the conscription system, especially what we're seeing today, it's kept the country safe for over 70 years. I don't think Israel can afford to go for a mercenary army. I think it would spell the death knell for the IDF and perhaps even for Israel. Israel can't rely on a small professional army whose main motivation is money. Israel faces a unique range of threats that no other country faces. It needs a large army, and I think the IDF is beyond today a merely military organization. It involves social cohesion. I think IDF services is one of the most iconic national symbols in Israel. Myself, I volunteered for some of the most probably dangerous units in the IDF that operated deep behind enemy lines because of Zionism. And I think that sort of translating or degrading the motivation to serve in the army into money, I think is a very, very detrimental move. Mm-hmm. And you probably find then that only the people who are drawn to the army are the lower echelons of the socioeconomic scale.
So here's my question for you. I mean, first of all, would Israel be able to operate without an obligatory army service?
Well, I think it's a big danger. You know, when I was younger and more athletic, one of my hobbies was free fall parachuting. I did hundreds of jumps, and for only 2 of them, I needed the reserve parachute. But that's when you need it. And I don't think Israel can. I think if Israel should err on the side of caution. I don't think that you can take chances with national security because the cost of error is almost terminal.
So going back to the issue of the ultra-Orthodox community and those who do not want to be drafted, what is the solution here? Is there a way that we can overcome this disagreement?
Well, I certainly think that the ultra-Orthodox should serve in the army, and I think that the secular sector in the country should keep pushing for it. I think it will be good for the country, and I think it will be good for the ultra-Orthodox. I don't think that we should give up. I happen to think that Lieberman may be right in what he's doing now, but not smart, because I don't think that this may not be the time to push it to the limit. And there may be room for small compromises on his part. But I certainly think that as a goal, ultra-Orthodox should be integrated not only into the military life, but into the commercial life and economic life in Israel as well.
But I guess the question here is, how do you make that happen at any point? Because these are people who say they don't want it.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because I see the numbers of Haredi enlistees is increasing steadily. Mm-hmm. And perhaps by making too much of an abrasive call to put them in, you may even be counterproductive.
So we're talking about an issue here of persuasion versus coercion. But what needs to happen to persuade the community?
Well, I'm not sure it should be totally without coercion. I think slowly there should be the introduction of penalties for ultra-Orthodox who refuse to serve. But I think it's an ongoing process. I mean, I don't think today that if all the ultra-Orthodox suddenly slapped their foreheads and said, "Gee, yes, we should enlist," I don't think the IDF could actually absorb them. So I think there has to be an ongoing process of dialogue. There may be an element of coercion in it, But you know, the IDF also has to gear to absorb this large body of ultra-Orthodox. So I think, as I say, I don't think that this is something that can be solved in the short term in dramatic way, the way the Lieberman wants to do.
Well, I guess the bigger question that we're clearly not going to be answering today is what will happen with the incoming government and how this is, the impact is, what kind of impact we're going to see as a result of this issue. But thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you.